This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com. The only
hours where wrestling takes a different turn. Welcome to Through the Looking Glass. I'm your co-host, Scott Criscuolo. Let me just bring my guy in now, and then we'll tell the whole story. He is the Thunder from Down Under. And this is funny because for those of you that are veteran listeners to us, we always talk about the weather. And I think it's the first time I think that this guy's ever had this kind of weather since we've been on. The Thunder from Down Under. Hello, Mr. Dave Hall, and your moist 99 degrees.
Yeah, it's thanks, Scott. Hi everyone. It's good to be back with you all. I have enjoyed been enjoying my October weather until today. We're down here in Australia, at least where I live down here in just north of Sydney in Australia. We have just decided to turn on the summer weather, and it's just gone 99 degrees today for no real reason other than that I think the weather gods have just gone, yeah, let's heat it up so that David's got something to talk about on a podcast.
Yeah, it's true. As we've been doing our wonderful show, if you are new to our show, hello, welcome here to the PTB Wrestling Network. And if you're new to our network, we got a ton of great shows here. So let's go through all of the great programming we have, and enjoy it, including our show. Now, our show is normally single episodes. They're standalones. So if you are new, normally you could listen to this episode and not worry about not hearing the ones before. However, for the first time in the history of the show, Dave and I are doing a multi-part series. And so if you are new to us right now, welcome. Pause this episode and go back 3 months to July and listen to that episode first, and then listen to last month's episode, then listen to this one.
Yes.
Because they all intertwine. We skipped August. I skipped August just now because August was a special month, which is a fantastic episode, and please listen to it along with all the others. But that one, we honored the legacy, of course, the great Hulk Hogan, who passed away in July. So we did a tribute episode in August. But what we're doing tonight is part 3 of a 4-part series that started in July, continued last month, and will conclude next month in November. What Dave and I are doing is we are rebooking one of the most disputed years in the history of professional wrestling, and that is the WWE in 2003, which, of course, everyone knows is one of the crappiest years in the history of pro wrestling. And honestly, Dave, as I'm starting to watch one of my chrono watches, I've gotten into 2004. 2004 it really isn't that much better, but maybe we'll do that another year. So we're breaking it into 4 pieces, based in quarters, because 12 pay-per-views. So in July, we did the first 3 shows. So we did the Royal Rumble, No Way Out, and WrestleMania. Then we did the Hulk Hogan tribute. And then last month we did Backlash, Judgment Day, and the first brand-specific pay-per-view, Bad Blood, which was the Raw show. So tonight, for part 3, we'll do the next 3 shows. So, which is pretty good. It's actually a good balance, Dave, because we'll do 1 of each brand, and then a big 4. So we'll do Vengance, which was SmackDown's first standalone. We'll do SummerSlam, which is, of course, a combo from Phoenix. And then we'll do Unforgiven, which was Raw's show in Hershey. Vengeance was in Denver. So I'm looking forward to this one tonight because we've got a good line coming down, and this part of the year is the is the most controversial of the year, because on Raw we're talking about Triple H and the World Championship. We all know what happened. SmackDown wasn't terrible, but we're going to tweak that as well. But so when we last left SmackDown, we'll start there. We'll start with SmackDown because our next pay-per-view, our first one tonight, was Vengeance, which took place. I can't believe I memorized the dates. That's because I just watched 2003. It was July 27th, and it was at the Pepsi Center in Denver. It was actually the first pay-per-view ever in the state of Colorado. How about that, Dave Hall? Yeah, never did a pay-per-view in Colorado. Isn't that crazy?
That's interesting. All the years of traveling around, and they'd never done one there.
Right. Crazy. I mean, they've done Raws and stuff and other shows, but they've never done a pay-per-view. So,
have WCW ever done a pay-per-view in Colorado? Do you know offhand?
I don't know. I'm sure they've done Nitros. I'm sure
WWE did Raws in Colorado.
Oh no, I'm sure there have been TV shows in Denver. I'm sure, like old McNichols Arena, which is where the Nuggets used to play, and then obviously Pepsi Center opened in sometime in the late '90s, because when the I don't know, the Pepsi Center opened in '90. I'll have to take a look while we're talking, because the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup in '96, and I'm wondering if it was at old McNichols Arena or if the Pepsi Center was open. When they won the Cup in 2001, they were definitely at the Pepsi Center. So the Pepsi Center, I think, may only be like 3 or 4 years old at this point. It's a fairly new building.
Yeah.
So, but we'll have to look. WCW, I don't know, but WCW they always kind of went to wonkier places than WWE. WWE, except like during the mid 90s, I feel like WWE went to like the safe venues. Texas, Florida, California, the Northeast, St. Louis, Kansas City. Like, I feel like Denver was kind of a weird place that they never wanted to broach.
Here we go. I've just done a quick check, and WCW had done a pay-per-view in Colorado. They did Spring Stampede in 1998 at the Denver Coliseum.
Okay, small venue, smaller venue. McNichols
smaller
Arena
venue and crap card.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, because McNichols Arena was the place that was always used. The Denver, and the Colorado Rockies hockey team of the late 70s, early 80s, before they moved east and became the New Jersey Devils, played there, and of course the Denver Nuggets NBA team played there for years and years and years before the new building. So they're now in, and then the Pepsi Center opened, I think, in 99. I think it opened in 99. So as of where we are now in July of 2003, the building's only like 4 years old. So it's fairly new. All right. Because I'm a nerd I'm a wrestling nerd for venues. All right. So we've pretty much, Dave, been fairly linear with SmackDown's championships compared to the Prime universe. We've kind of elevated Chris Benoit a little bit, but Brock is the champion.
Yep.
We've had this cool like Taker Scott Steiner thing going on. Los Guerreros are the tag team champions. Cena, we've elevated something fierce. We just had him wrestle.
He had the big win over Hulk Hogan in our last show, and knowing that Hogan leaves the company before Vengeance, it sort of you can run the storyline that it's in essence that Vince has used John Cena to chase Hogan out of the company.
That's true. Yes.
Or at least there would have been that ongoing storyline between them, and then Hulk tucks tail and leaves.
Right. So why don't we begin Vengeance with the world title situation. So,
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. Having come out of there's a couple of things we need to cover. Number
Sure.
one, just before Vengeance is when Kurt Angle returns from injury. So for those of you that are listening, one of the things we've been doing is we've been trying to. There are certain things that we've kept in place. Official signings, people coming in and leaving the company, we're keeping that intact pretty well. We had a little bit of a variation last episode where we allowed someone to come in for a one-off event, but in terms of ongoing contracts, we don't change. When people leave, they leave. When people join, they join. So we don't make any changes to that. And obviously, Kurt had a pre-existing injury when we started our year. So Kurt Angle had sort of taken the neck surgery after WrestleMania. And in real time, he returned to the company not long before Vengeance. So we've got a returning Kurt Angle into the company. So when it comes to our world title, Scott, I think we've got two options. Option number one would be the easy one. Just put Kurt Angle back in the ring with Brock. But I don't think that's the way to go, because I think with what we built over the last couple of months, I think John Cena's victory over Hulk Hogan at the Judgment Day pay-per-view, I think that really puts him in line for a shot against Brock here. I think heel John Cena, which is what we have at the moment, had been in a feud with Hogan, gets that big win on pay-per-view. Hogan has left, so we're not going to get the return match. I think that really, I could see Vince rewarding John Cena with a shot at Brock Lesnar at Vengeance.
Okay. I like that idea. So Brock Lesnar will defend the world title. He's still a babyface.
Yep.
And he is going to take on Cena. So we're going to shift the title match that was originally at Backlash in the Prime universe, which was in essence a throwaway match. Let's be honest. In the Prime universe, it was a throwaway match. But here, be honest. Listen, Dave, the match has some juice.
Yes.
Cena just beat the man, one of the most iconic legends in the history of the business. So I don't think that is a throwaway match, to be honest. I think it's a match that could John Cena pull off an upset? Listen, Brock Lesnar was only with the company, 4 months the year before?
Yeah.
Cena's been here almost a year, and the crowd is he's getting good heel heat. We haven't talked about a face turn for him yet. We'll obviously maybe not tonight. That might be a topic for next month's show. I think the match has juice. I think it certainly has more juice than it did in the Prime universe 3 months earlier, when nobody gave a crap. That whole Backlash Prime universe show was a big pile of crap. Yeah. It was all about Goldberg, Rock, and then a bunch of garbage. So I like that idea. That's a great title match. So there's our main event. Brock Lesnar defends the WWE title against John Cena. And I assume we keep. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, go.
I was going to say. So the assumption would be then Brock keeps it.
I think Brock keeps the title. Yeah, I don't think Cena's in a position to win the belt yet. I think Brock needs to retain. I think we're building to something bigger for Brock moving into SummerSlam. So I think this would be a good contest. I think we're also looking at a time period where, in the build up to Vengeance, is probably when you're starting to hear the fans getting behind Cena a little bit, because this is when his act started to get really over with the crowd. Like I think the issues, I think where Hogan sat in the eyes of the company and the fans, the way that they would have been doing the promos and John Cena would have been doing the rapping promos and the cut downs and all that, he would have started to have that underground cheering starting to happen. So I think John Cena's going to be looking good in this match, but he's going to get beaten because really he's not ready for the title. He's not top of the card talent yet, but we're clearly seeing that this is a guy on the rise, and I think he holds his own against Brock.
He does. He will. I mean, it's he's obviously not Brock's size, but Cena will hold his own, and I think it'll be a good match. They could go, a good. I mean, we want to keep the show balanced time-wise, so we could do 16, 17 minutes. It doesn't need anything earth-shattering. We don't need 30 minutes or whatever. So a good 16, 17-minute main event, I think, would fit for them. So, all right, so there's our title match. There's our title match for Vengeance. Brock Lesnar defends the WWE Championship against John Cena. Next, let's go to the next belt, because I usually try to get the belt. Let's try to get the belts out of the way. Yep. So in the Prime universe at this point, General Manager Stephanie McMahon reinstituted from WCW the United States Championship.
Yes.
Which, of course, because we need balance, and obviously Raw has the Intercontinental title, so SmackDown needs a secondary belt. Why invent one with a dopey name? Let's just take what I always consider one of my favorite titles in the history of Crockett / WCW. I have a belt. I have a replica hanging on my wall right now. Now, in the window, Dave, do we do the same thing that the Prime Universe did, and we put together a tournament, or what is your thinking? I want to go in your brain.
No, I think absolutely. I think the better way to do the build would have been to do a tournament, probably an eight-man tournament held over, so therefore you could sort of do that over 3 or 4 weeks. You could have a couple of first round matches one week, the rest of the first round the second week. You could have the semi-finals a couple of weeks out from the pay-per-view, with the final of the tournament to be held at Vengeance. So I think that's the way to go, because you've got a lot of good in-ring talent on SmackDown. You can put guys into these matches and you're going to enjoy them. I mean, you can have obviously you've got guys like Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. You've got people who've certainly the name talent in that division. I mean, at that level of the company, whether they're that good in the ring. But you got guys like Billy Gunn and the Big Show and that who would certainly lend credence to a tournament. You got you could have a couple of the Cruisers in there. You could have Rey Mysterio in there. You could even have guys like Charlie Huss and Shelton Benjamin in an 8-man tournament and really ramp up in-ring action. So I think you could really put together a fun tournament with the talent that's on SmackDown.
Okay. So if we do the tournament, we would put some of the guys that were in it originally, say Chris Benoit, Eddie, maybe Rhino.
Well, Rhino's over on Raw.
Rhino's on Raw. That's right. We moved Rhino over.
Steiner, but we could put Scott Steiner in that tournament.
Scott Steiner in it.
He's had a big year, and he's just finished his I think we've just finished his feud with the Undertaker.
Yep. How about, I'm looking at your notes, breaking the fourth wall here, folks. I'm looking at your notes. How about for one of the quarterfinal matches, we put Kevin Nash as a surprise entrant moving over from Raw. Do we have him on Raw anyway, or has he already been on SmackDown?
No, we moved him to SmackDown because we started a bit of a deal between him and the Big Show.
Right. So why don't we put Nash and the Big Show in a quarterfinal match, and they end in a double something, and they both are eliminated, And then we could put a heel or somebody gets a pass to the final, like a typical Ted DiBiase thing. Yep. And that gives us something for the two of them later on. We'll get to that. We'll get to the two of them in a minute. Who would you put in the final?
All right. Well, let's throw it out there. We've had I'm going to throw out a name for you to think about, and I just referenced him a moment ago. What about one of the finalists being Scott Steiner? I think Scott has had. We've actually done a lot with Scott Steiner this year. He had the big feud with the Undertaker at WrestleMania. He then had a title match against Brock when he switched to SmackDown. He was traded, and Rhino was the trade to Raw. Yep. So at Backlash, he lost the match to Brock when Undertaker got involved. We then saw Undertaker and Kane wrestle Scott and Rick at Judgment Day in that was Rick's one-off event, but that was that sort of the blow-off, really, or not quite the blow-off, but I think maybe we could blow that off at SummerSlam. But Scott Steiner's been in this big end picture. He's certainly been quite strongly used for us. So I think Scott Steiner would be a hell of a guy to put as one option. And the reason I'm saying that is I actually, there's one guy I've got an idea for another match later in the card that I basically, it'd be very easy to put someone like Benoit in the final, but I don't want Benoit to be there. I've got another idea for Benoit on this card. So I'm thinking Scott Steiner would certainly have the credibility to get to this final. We've done this over the top heel. He was brutalizing everyone, got into this feud with Taker. I think I could see him terrorizing a first round opponent, absolutely dominating a match. Maybe against Billy Gunn, he could just absolutely destroy Billy Gunn in the first round. And as you said, he gets a bye into the final. So you've got this impression that, my goodness, who's going to stop Scott Steiner?
Yes. I think Scott Steiner's earned it. I think you and I have earned some kudos because we did more for Scott Steiner than anybody ever could have done in any other universe. So I think we should be pretty proud of ourselves for that. So Scott Steiner in the final against?
I'd like it to be against Eddie.
That's what I was thinking too.
And I think what we can do is you could build. I think it does a lot to build Eddie. Eddie has been in these tag. He's in the tag team with Chavo. They're currently the tag team champions. Now we know Chavo has been. There was a little bit of a struggle with injury around this time period, but and that's fine. But you can. He wasn't out for too long. Now, I think you could run a storyline while Chavo was maybe nursing a temporary injury. He gives his blessing to Eddie to enter the tournament. And so Eddie has the opportunity to hold two titles at once. So I think you could have a first round match, could be something like Eddie against, Tajiri or Jamie Noble or one of the cruiserweights that would allow you to really sort of have a bit of, or maybe even against like Huss or Benjamin, like we talked about involving them in the tournament. You could have Eddie could beat perhaps, say, Shelton Benjamin in the first round of the tournament with both, Chavo and Charlie Hussett could be at ringside for that. And Eddie, we're getting into this cheat to win mode. Like, we really can play this up. So Eddie could use a belt shot or whatever to beat Shelton. And then in the semi-final, this is where maybe he could beat Benoit. They could have a classic match on as a SmackDown main event. The two guys would tear the house down, have a great TV match in the semi-final. And again, Eddie, maybe he grabs the tights or puts his foot on the rope or something to get the win over Chris, so that we're building the cheat to win storyline. That's what the Guerrero storyline was. So you've got that operating in a singles mode. so that you've got this final match. You've got the big monster Scott Steiner versus Eddie Guerrero. I think they've both got the technical skills. I think Scott can, at least he's got the technical skills to put on a good match with Eddie. Eddie will bump and bounce around for Scott Steiner like crazy.
Yep.
And then I think you could play into the cheat to win stuff. And I think which would, I think, play into Scott Steiner's temper. You could have Eddie, maybe again, you could have Eddie grab the belt, do a belt shot, or maybe, do something while the referee's knocked out. You could have any of that sort of underlying fun that Eddie does,
right?
That he gets the win and comes out holding 2 titles, which Chavo seems really excited about. Chavo is absolutely over the moon that Eddie, his tag team partner, has 2 titles, which might down the track start to become a problem when they're having to juggle what is Eddie going to be focused on.
Like Stephanie starts telling Eddie, Eddie, you gotta, we could talk more about this part of it as we move ahead, but Stephanie could start telling Eddie, listen, Eddie, you wanted to hold 2 titles. I didn't want to punish Chavo by stripping you of the tag titles, but you guys defended you got to defend the U.S. title at some point. So sorry, Chavo, no tag title match tonight. Eddie has to defend the U.S. title against so-and-so.
Yeah.
And Eddie and Chavo could start looking at him like, Jesus, dude. And, and of course, I guess when you're talking about heel face, and this is something, Dave, that we can kind of touch on over this pay-per-view and the next pay-per-view. Obviously, we won't do it for our third one. And then we could kind of overlap it as we head into next month's show. Who's the face and who's the heel? I mean, we could flip the script from the Prime Universe and make Eddie more of a heel. But since we're not going into 2004, we can make things different anyway. So that's a good idea. And then throughout the next couple of months, because they don't have a pay-per-view, obviously, till No Mercy in October. So for the next couple of months, August and September, SmackDown, has at least a title match every week. And Eddie starts getting burnt out. Tag title match, U.S. title match, tag title match, U.S. title match.
Or even one week, it gets announced that somehow Eddie's accidentally signed 2 contracts and he's got to wrestle twice in one night. Got to defend both titles on the same episode of SmackDown. So Chavo could be a little bit, maybe the US title match happens first and Eddie enters a match with a worn out partial injury or whatever, and Chavo starts getting frustrated that Eddie can't commit fully to what's going on.
Yeah, he's like, so let's say he faces, a Scott Steiner rematch at the beginning of the show, and he keeps his title, but Scott, beats the shit out of him. The end of the night, Eddie and Chavo defend the tag straps against, say, Charlie, Haas and Benjamin, and Eddie's like, no, Chavo's like getting a tar beat out of him in the match, and Eddie's like half out of it. He's got a cut in his head or whatever. And he's like, keep going. Give me a minute. I gotta catch my breath. And Chavo was like, dude, I'm getting the shit kicked out of me. It's things like that. We'll allude more to that down the line. But I think that's what would be a ton of fun for us to do that. So Eddie Guerrero, it'll be our mid-match main event, sort of. Eddie and Scott Steiner in the finals of our United States title tournament, but Eddie still gets the win. So in the Prime Universe, he beat Benoit, and in our alternate universe, he beats Scott Steiner. So the next thing, before we get to the tag, because there's no tag title match on the show if Eddie is in the final, or do we start that? Do you want to start that here, Dave?
Maybe not here. Maybe we can. Maybe Chavo. Maybe here's a bit of fun. Maybe Chavo takes the shot at trying to become a 2-belt champ as well. Eddie wins the tournament. Eddie gets into the final in the tournament with a couple of weeks, so you've got a storyline build. And so Chavo is going to try and do the same thing and win 2 titles in the night. Maybe Chavo has a shot at the Cruiserweight title.
I love that idea. Now, in the Prime Universe, at this point, I believe Ray was the champion. In
Well,
fact, I think Ray was the champion.
Yeah, we put the belt on Ray at Backlash,
Right.
and we didn't take we had him we have him. Well, we've got Ray in a feud with. Well, here we go. This could be an issue. We've got Ray in a feud with Jamie Noble at the moment because at Judgment Day we did the match, the Ray Trish Jamie Noble Nydia. Maybe we do a 3-way match. Maybe Ray and Jamie Noble were building to a match at Vengeance, and Chavo petitions general manager Stephanie to give him a shot at the title as well, and we make it a 3-way match for the cruiserweight title.
Love that idea. Let's do that. So a 3-way can open the show, because that could be a hot opener.
Yes.
So Rey Mysterio defends the Cruiserweight Championship in a triple threat match against Jamie Noble, who he's been feuding with, and Chavo gets involved since there is no WWE tag title match tonight, because Eddie is in one final. So Chavo's like, well, I want to do something, and maybe we could have tons of belts. We could walk around with 2 pairs. Wouldn't that be cool? But of course, Chavo will fail, and Ray will keep it. Or do you have Jamie Noble pin Chavo?
No, I think I'd keep the belt on Ray at the moment.
Okay.
I think he wanted it Backlash. So he's only had it for a couple of months. He hasn't had a pay-per-view title defense since he won it, because we had him in the mixed tag at Judgment Day.
Right.
So I think it'd be good for him to have the victory at Vengeance, so that you can then you've got the opportunity to have him involved in a title match at a cruiser title match at SummerSlam, and that might be where you think about whether or not to take the title off him or not. So
okay.
I think I'd keep the belt on Ray for the moment. I don't think we've done enough to solidify this title run yet. I think it's been a storyline with Jamie Noble that we haven't finished off, and because we've wanted to do something a little bit extra with Chavo here to play into the Eddie story, I think that allows you then to have maybe Ray pins Chavo and Jamie Noble doesn't lose. So at SummerSlam, they can have their blow off. Ray and Jamie could face off at SummerSlam for the cruiser title as sort of the blow off to their ongoing storyline.
Perfect. So we have 3 title matches. That'll be our 3 title matches for the show. So Ray, Jamie Noble, and Chavo in a 3-way for the Cruiserweight title. Ray keeps it, which, rankles Chavo a bit, because later in the show, Eddie will win the U.S. title tournament. So they don't get 2 belts, but they do have belts.
But it's his disappointment is more that he didn't win a title, and it's not that he's annoyed that Eddie won it. It's that he was hoping that they both have 2 titles. So that's where his disappointment lay at the moment.
Yeah, we don't want to tip the hand yet, and then it's too soon to do that. Yep.
Yeah, this is more just he's annoyed that he lost, and Eddie could even be. We could do a backstage segment before Eddie's match. Chavo could be sitting there despondent. I lost. Maybe Chavo had a moment, could have possibly won it, and the pin gets broken up. I thought I had it won, and and Eddie could be like, it's okay, it doesn't matter. We're still the tag champs, and tonight we're going to be celebrating the US title win. And Chavo's like, yeah, we are. That's it. You go out, you do this, and we've still got the opportunity. So you've just got that. It still feels really genuine at the moment. That it's just a little bit sad for losing, but he still wants Eddie to win.
Yep, I agree. So that's 3 title matches. 4th match, and I mentioned it earlier, we've been building this Kevin Nash Big Show thing slowly but surely, and they end up having a brawl on SmackDown, and they both get counted out or both get DQ'd, and they're both eliminated from the U.S. title tournament. Where would we go from there?
Yeah, look, I think this is the sort of storyline that writes itself. So where we started talking about this last episode. We talked about the fact that Nash he'd been off with the injury, and so instead of returning to the Raw brand, we were going to bring him back on SmackDown. So it would have been a TV thing. The first couple of weeks, you probably would have had Kevin Nash sort of trying to, probably winning a couple of matches and probably talking, maybe the commentators are talking up about how it's great. The big guy is back. Big Daddy Cool is back.
Right. Yep.
And the Big Show could be getting annoyed. It starts off with the commentators. Big Daddy Cool is back. Look what he's done. There's some backstage shenanigans. Big Show could be interviewed and talk about, hey, the only big man, the only giant in this company is me. I'm the Big Show. I'm the biggest. I'm the baddest. These guys meet at in the tournament. Probably 3 weeks out from Vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of those ones where they just probably end up just brawling outside the ring. They end up falling out of the ring. They get a double count out, and they just start fighting at ringside. And everyone runs out and separates them. And Big Show's throwing people around, and Nash is calling him out. So I think you would go out, you just drag it out that way. I think the following week Nash would come to the ring. He'd be Nash. He'd be that cool, calm, collected. He'd come on, let's get it on. Come on, Big Show, anytime, anywhere. Perhaps they do a tag match. Maybe we have a tag match on SmackDown that maybe Big Show levels him with a chair and gets behind the ref's back and gets the pin that way. And Big Show goes sort of the week before, is talking about how I beat you. I proved I'm the biggest and I'm the baddest. And it's really just that simple build of who is the biggest man.
I love that idea. Yes, I love that idea. I feel like we've been. I think this is a good chance for the Hosses to get a good match, and give us a it doesn't have to be too crazy. If we're looking at timings, like I said, the Brock and Cena match could be, I don't know, like I said, 16, 17 minutes. Eddie and Steiner, you don't want to tip your hand too much with Steiner, so maybe like 11 minutes.
Yeah, I was thinking 10 to 12. Yeah,
10 to 12, and then the triple threat in the open. Shit, make that 20.
Yeah, that'd be a good fast-paced 20 minutes.
Yeah, make that 20. So this match you could make, 8. You don't have to. You don't have to bore anybody.
Doesn't need to be long.
Yeah, you don't need to bore anybody with slop. You don't want to do that.
Now, so, looking at what we've been doing so far, is this the sort of match where we need to have Big Show win? Because we've already got Ray winning, we've got Eddie winning, we've got Brock winning. We've got 3 baby faces going over. We've still got a half a card to build. But in terms of big names and where they're sitting and what's going on, I'm wondering if we need the Big Show to... This is their first match. This is their first appearance on that pay-per-view. I'm wondering if we give Big Show the cheap victory.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yes, I concur. I agree with you because I think we need to because this is a feud we can. I feel like it's a feud we could have some teeth, and Nash is back, but Nash needs to he needs to put guys over. Who knows how long he's going to be here? So
there's the thing. Who knows how long he's going to be here?
Yeah, he may pop a quad. Who knows? Or break something.
He may want to go and make a movie.
Yes, and dye his hair blonde. And cut his hair too. Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think maybe it's as simple as maybe Big Show wins. Maybe you could have Big Show win by DQ. Like it's not. Maybe you don't even have him get the pinfall on Nash. Maybe it's Nash ends up holding a chair that Big Show had brought into the ring. Ref had back turned, or ref wasn't watching, or ref was down for a moment, and when he comes to, he sees Nash with the chair hitting Big Show and calls for the bell.
Sure. Yeah. I could do that. Yep. I like that idea. So Big Show wins by DQ, and we keep that feud going.
Yeah.
All right.
So let me give you my other big. Let me give you my other big match in my mind for this event. Okay. So we've had Kurt Angle return to the company. He returns, and I think the way he returned, he returned as a babyface because you've got this guy who's overcome the neck injury. Everyone likes him, likes his in-ring. I like the idea of bringing him back with the crowd behind him. Here he is now, the guy who's overcome the neck injury, returning to what he loves. So I like that premise. So he's back. But when he left, he was in a union, a stable, a faction with the now former tag team champions, Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Huss. I'm thinking the way to bring Nash back to pay-per-view, Kurt back to pay-per-view, would be that he is in a match against Shelton and Charlie Huss because they are annoyed that when he's returned, he no longer wants to have anything to do with them. He wants to just go it alone. He wants to he's going to go for the title again. He's going to prove to everyone that he is the best, that he's overcome this injury, and he doesn't need their help anymore. They're annoyed about it. They attack him. Kurt needs a tag team partner. What better tag team partner to make this match an absolute barnstormer? Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit versus the world's greatest tag team.
Perfect. Because in the Prime universe, Kurt does come back, and that's exactly what happens. In the Prime universe, Kurt came back and said to World's Greatest Tag Team, "Yeah, I don't need you guys. I don't need you guys anymore. I'm good." And then they lose. What happened was they had lost another tag title match when they were still Team Angle. They couldn't get the belts back from, I think it was Chavo. At the time, I think it was Eddie and Ray. Or Eddie and Tajiri.
Eddie and Tajiri.
It was Eddie and Tajiri. And then Kurt cut them loose, and then the two of them beat the crew. So it worked out perfectly anyway. So I like that idea. So Kurt and Benoit, who always work well together, against World's Greatest Tag Team. Now that match, holy crap! That's another one. Dave, that we could put, 18, 19, maybe 20, 21 minutes. Those four. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that match just absolutely, it's got the potential to steal the show. We've got a couple of matches that could steal the show here, but I think
absolutely
I could just picture Kurt wanting to go out on his return to pay-per-view and just tear the house down.
Right. Yeah. No, totally. I agree 100%. So we're good there. All right. So we got 5 matches down. We need 3 more. I'm just letting, and right now, we're pretty much telling you now, listeners, we are not doing Vince McMahon and Zach Gowen. There is no Zach Gowen here at all.
No.
We are not doing no. We're not stroking Vince's ego in the alternate universe. Sorry, not happening.
Well, here's the question. Again, I really feel, I think as well as we've been doing in rebooking this year, there is one guy who just seems to constantly be given leftovers, and we're going to have to deal with that moving forward. But he's not currently on this show. Do we want him on the show? What are we doing with The Undertaker? He's been in this feud with Scott Steiner, but Scott is in the US title tournament final. So let's just recap our year. Undertaker starts the year in the Rumble. He then at No Way Out, he faced Rhino. And I think we implied that Scott Steiner was going to interfere in that match after Scott had beaten Kane, that I think it was Scott Steiner interfered in that Undertaker match or post-match, setting up Undertaker versus Scott Steiner at WrestleMania. So this was our build. They had their first match at Mania. Undertaker won. Obviously, Scott Steiner comes out of that. We traded him. He faced Brock at Backlash, but the Undertaker interfered. He got involved and helped cost Scott Steiner. They'll distract him for a moment, which then moves us into Judgment Day, where Scott Steiner and his brother Rick lost to the Undertaker and Kane in a tag team match. So the question is that feud finished? I mean, they were going at it for 4 or 5 months there. Do we think that the Undertaker needs to be moving on to someone else? Or is this a feud that would potentially continue to SummerSlam and we need to work out what to do with Undertaker for this event? Or do we look at building a new storyline for Undertaker now?
Well, Kane goes back to Raw, so we're not going to focus on that. Should we think about Taker maybe? Eventually, Taker likes kind of going after the world title.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we have that going on. You know, you and I might focus on that next month because in the Prime universe that does go down. I suppose we need him on the card in a match. I feel like he should come out in the main event and just watch.
That could be an option. You could do an interview segment with him before the main event, and you know he's interested in what happens. That's because I'm just having a look at who we've got, and we've on the SmackDown roster, and we've got most of the big players are now involved in a match at this card.
Right, that's the tricky part.
The only options I could consider is you potentially put Undertaker in a handicap match, or you're putting him against someone who's just appearing, or just. Let me throw out an idea. I'm just trying to come up with an idea here. It's not a good idea. It's a very, very bad idea. but it's an idea.
Okay.
One of the things we intentionally steered away from at WrestleMania was the Undertaker originally in the real world. The Undertaker originally at WrestleMania 19 was supposed to be in a tag team match, and his tag team partner was knocked out pre-match and didn't get involved. And then because his tag team partner wasn't great in ring, and they wanted to send him back to developmental to get some seasoning.
Right.
That person then comes back to the company not long after, so between SummerSlam and Survivor Series, he makes his return to the main roster. Now, if this guy's never been on the main roster for us, what if the Undertaker had been attacked by someone as big as Nathan Jones?
The best part about you saying it, Dave, is you're saying it the right way, and I don't even have to make up the Australian accent. Nathan Jones.
It's not a good storyline, but Nathan Jones was a big guy.
He's a huge guy.
If you haven't shown him on TV this year, which we haven't, then with the brand split that we've now got in place and brand only pay-per-views, which we've only just built to, you're going to need to build the roster a little bit more. So what if Nathan Jones made his debut on SmackDown by attacking the Undertaker in a tag match, just straight out runs out of the crowd to attack him. And then over the next couple of weeks, you have Nathan Jones doing that big heel guy thing of just beating down a couple of lower card guys, couple of cruiserweights, give him Sho Funaki to throw around a little bit. Keep it simple, protect what Jones can do, but it gives the Undertaker. I think you've got someone, at least if we haven't seen him, you've got someone at least who would be seen as a credible threat physically to the Undertaker. And because we haven't got anything for the Undertaker to do, maybe this is what we could have Undertaker do. It gets him on the card, and Undertaker can get the win, but it allows us to keep Undertaker seen while we work out what we want for him at SummerSlam.
Good idea. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It's not going to be the greatest match ever. We could put it in between Nash Big Show. Oh God, Nash Big Show and Taker.
No, I wouldn't put it after them. I think it needs to go very early on. I think you're potentially putting it second or third of the night. You want it either just after the Cruisers or just before Eddie comes out to win the title, the US title.
I would put it. Well, we want to give Taker a little air, so why don't we put it third?
Yep.
I mean, it's not going to be a fun match. It's probably 7 minutes tops.
Oh, I wouldn't even go that long. I reckon this is a match you keep it to 3 or 4. Jones Undertaker enters the ring. Jones just attacks him before the bell, so he's getting some big shots in. Maybe Jones even pushes the referee away, like he doesn't even care about the ref. He's just trying to pound away. Maybe throws Undertaker out, rams Undertaker into the ring post, and Undertaker gets a little bit of blood. Undertaker sees the blood, bang. He just goes absolute, Undertaker crazy. He just starts beating Jones down, clothesline, slams, choke slam, tombstone, and it's done.
Yeah, I think it's got to be quick before that gets real ugly, real fast. Yeah, we already got Big Show and Nash, and we need to keep that. We need to nip that in the bud. So, okay, all right. We got 2 slots left. We try to do 8 match cards as best we can.
Well, I think 2 spots left. I think one of them we haven't really got the real tag team division. There's nothing on this card at the moment out. We've got the tag title match. There's no tag title match.
Right.
So I think we should be doing something to highlight the tag team division. I think this is where you could have a throwaway tag team. You can have something like the APA, Bradshaw and Farouk, the APA could be on there and they could be wrestling another team, whether it be the FBI, whether it be the Basham brothers who were probably joining the roster around this time. It could be.
They did, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, and there was a criminally underutilized team. The Basham. This could be the Basham brothers come up to the roster, not with Shaniqua. They don't need. That was terrible. But the Basham brothers come up as they can. I know they wanted to call them the Doug and Danny Basham. If you've ever listened to Jim Cornette's conversations about what they did with the Bashams and how bad it was, naming the damage at Danny Basham and getting him to shave his head without even giving him a chance to deal with it at OVW. It's just crazy. But you could bring these 2 guys up as here's their shot. They're moving up to the division. They're taking on someone like the APA, and maybe they could get the win. They could cheat. They could do something to get the win. And the Basham boys beat the APA.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I like the Bashams, actually. I actually like Shaniqua. Sorry. But we don't have to do that. She doesn't have to be a dominatrix. She could still be their manager, though. But, yeah, I like that idea. I think the Bashams, we need a tag match. We need to boost the tag division while we can.
And we need to be setting up potential challenges for the Guerreros.
Right, exactly. All right, I like that idea. So APA and the Bashams, with the Bashams being put over to boost the tag division. So, all right, so one slot left.
I think we could have another cruiser match.
Oh yeah, got plenty of guys for it.
Tajiri's not on the card, and we've been doing a lot with Tajiri so far. So I think Tajiri is certainly someone who probably should be in a match.
Yeah. Who do we have for cruisers?
We haven't seen Matt Hardy. We pretty well haven't seen Matt Hardy since WrestleMania. So what if Tajiri and Matt Hardy have a match?
Tajiri is still a baby face. Matt Hardy, obviously 2.0 with his Shannon Moore. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah. Gives Ray more potential opponents. It emphasizes what makes SmackDown a different show than Raw. You've got this cruiserweight division. You've got a ton of great stars. Let's use them. So I like that, and it's the match, and Cole and Taz can allude to Ray having future opponents. This could be a potential number one contenders match, that kind of thing. Yeah. Matt's a former champion. That's who Ray beat. So Matt wants his shot back. Tajiri's been kind of chasing back and forth for a while. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it helps boost the cruiserweight division, which is one of the backbones of SmackDown. That's what makes SmackDown special. So yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. It actually adds another good match. Since we're going to have a couple of really short matches with power guys, we can make the cruiser match just kind of be the backbone of the show.
Yeah, we probably don't want this one to go too long because it's going to be followed by Kurt.
Right, that match is going to be very long. Yeah. So no, you're right
this
on that.
Doesn't need to be too long, but it can be fast paced. Like you can just give them, 7 or 8 minutes, go down, have a quick pace match, and I mean, look, realistically, either guy could win. I don't think it almost doesn't matter who wins this match. It's one of those matches where either guy could win, and I think everyone would accept it.
Yeah, why don't we have Matt Hardy win, because we've already got baby faces in the next couple of matches. So we'll have Matt Hardy win that, and then he could get Ray could defend the title against him at some point these next couple of months on the show, since SmackDown's next standalone, and we already have Ray with a title shot at SummerSlam anyway. So, all right. So we have let us know what you think, folks. We have our Vengeance pay-per-view, which will be on July 27th from the Pepsi Center in Denver. Our card is this: a triple threat match for the Cruiserweight Championship. Rey Mysterio defends against Jamie Noble and Chavo Guerrero. Rey retains. The Basham brothers take on the APA in just a straight up good solid tag, with the Bashams winning because we need to boost the division. Undertaker takes on Nathan Jones. Hold your breath. It's only 4.5 minutes. And Taker wins, just to kind of keep him on. You got to promote Taker on the show, so you can't not have him on, because he's obviously a centerpiece guy. So, Eddie Guerrero and Scott Steiner in the finals of the U.S. title tournament, and Eddie wins it. So that doesn't change from the Prime Universe, just the opponent does. Kevin Nash takes on the Big Show in a nice Haas match that's been percolating for a while, and the Big Show wins by disqualification. So that could be more to come from them. Tajiri takes on Matt Hardy in a little cruiserweight number one contenders-ish match, perhaps, and Matt Hardy gets the win. We have a banger tag match: Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit against Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, and Kurt and Benoit win. And in the main event, Brock Lesnar defends the WWE Championship against John Cena. So the Prime Universe, the match was at Backlash in a throwaway thing to fill a slot. Here, we're giving it a little more juice because of what Cena's done the last month. And so I think that we could add a little something there, but clearly in the end, John Cena will retain. I'm sorry, Brock Lesnar will retain. So there's our first show of the night, Vengance from Denver. All right, we now move ahead a month to Sunday, August 24th, I think the date was, from I don't even know what the name of the place was at that moment. I guess it was still the America West Arena in Phoenix for SummerSlam. And our objective here, Dave, because we have had a run going all the way back to 1997. We've had 6 consecutive years, if you think about it, Dave. 6 consecutive years, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, and 2002. 6 consecutive years of banging SummerSlams. There probably hasn't been a bad SummerSlam since 1996. And that SummerSlam was solid main event, but the rest of the show was So we got a rep to uphold, a standard, if you will, Dave, that the last 6 years of SummerSlams, 97 through 2002, have all been great. So we need, Dave, to put on a big-time SummerSlam, the biggest party of the summer. We had a pretty great, WrestleMania. So we need a good SummerSlam. So we already have one match down. We talked about it earlier. So Rey Mysterio will defend. I don't know if you brought this up actually, but Rey Mysterio and Jamie Noble will have a rematch.
And it'll be their blow-off match.
It'll be their blow-off match. And does Rey keep it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Rey keeps the title. Yeah.
All right, so Rey keeps the title. All right, so we'll leave that there. We had that already in the bag from Vengeance, so we'll put that there. All right. Let's get 2 matches out of the way because we already have them in our heads.
Yep.
Obviously, our 2 title matches. So in the Prime Universe, and this is fresh in my mind, Dave. So I'm not delusional because there was even graphics for it.
Yep.
So from the beginning of the build to SummerSlam in the Prime Universe, it was supposed to be Triple H defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Goldberg. It was supposed to be 1-on-1.
Yep.
Then a couple of weeks into the build, co-general manager Steve Austin announced that instead of 1-on-1, there will be an elimination chamber with 6 guys for the World Heavyweight Championship. And it was in the Prime Universe, it was Triple H, Goldberg, Randy Orton, Booker T? Or was he hurt?
The elimination chamber.
It was Kevin Nash, Chris Jericho,
Shawn Michaels, Jericho, Randy Orton.
Yeah, Randy Orton,
Goldberg, and Triple H.
I think Booker was hurt at this time. So, and then of course, in one of the dumbest decisions ever, Triple H retained the title. Now in the Prime Universe, Triple H had a torn groin muscle, which is why he wore the infamous bike shorts. In our world, Dave, ain't no injury.
No.
So he is not hurt.
No,
so
the week that he got hurt, I'm pretty certain we just had him in an interview segment. I think
right.
Our Raw show, he was just in an interview segment. So that pressure to the groin didn't happen, or maybe he just didn't have as vigorous a honeymoon with Stephanie.
Well, that hasn't happened.
That hasn't happened yet,
Hasn't
has it?
happened yet.
No,
That's
it
right,
hasn't
happened
yet.
So,
look, even if he did have a torn groin, there's no reason why what we've got planned couldn't have happened.
Exactly. Now, Dave and I were talking about this, and if you go back through the archives here on the PTB Wrestling Network, if you go back to on the Place to Be podcast, when JR and I did this show in real life, in the regular show, SummerSlam 2003, one of the things we suggested that should have happened if the company wasn't so short-sighted about it, they should have went forward with Triple H versus Goldberg in a one-on-one match for the world title, and Triple H gets mollywomped in like 3 minutes. He should have put Goldberg over very strong. And now Goldberg's been in we've had him for two matches on pay-per-view thus far. Back at Backlash, we still had him and The Rock. And at Bad Blood, we still had him and Chris Jericho. So we didn't adjust those matches from the Prime Universe to here. So those still happened. But instead of changing it to a elimination chamber, which we're going to put in our back pocket, we are doing what should have been done, which was Triple H comes out. He's confident. Evolution comes out. But then the dun, 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 bang on the door. Oh, we can even find Doug Dillinger, what bar he's hanging out in. And Goldberg comes out. He goes in. He immediately beats the tar out of the Evolution guys. Now, Batista was still hurt, so it was just Orton and Flair. And Goldberg just absolutely decimates the two of them. He gets in the ring. The bell rings. Triple H tries to do some offense, and Goldberg's like, nah.
I think it's what he's beating up all three of them. He throws Flair out of the ring, throws Orton out of the ring, and while he's doing that, Triple H gets a knee in the back. So Triple H is trying to attack him from behind. Maybe he sends him into the ropes, and Goldberg just comes off the ropes with a spear and just spears Triple H across the ring. And then you could just go straight into the setup for the jackhammer.
Yep. Yeah, and then drops it. Bing, bang, boom. Crisp, clean, no caffeine. Goldberg is your new world heavyweight champion. Like it should have been. Simple as that. Absolutely simple as that. No screwing around like they did in the Prime Universe. No screwing around. Goldberg should come in, take Evolution out. Evolution could be rebuilt. Okay, guys. The Horsemen took a ton of beatings and we're still the Four Horsemen. Goldberg takes care of Triple H in like 3.5 minutes and is your new world heavyweight champion. Simple as that. So that's done. We got that down. We got that down. Doesn't that, Dave, I'm actually smiling. And this is my guy we're talking about that's about to get mollywomped. Just think about it. The place will go ballistic. Yeah.
And it's you've got this you really were in the time span where there was more. We've got the growth of the internet knowledge. That there are a lot of people who the reputation that Triple H was building backstage was evident around this time. Now we've had Hunter do the right thing earlier in the year and lay down to Rob Van Dam, but then he wins the title back pretty quickly. So, there is going to be that perception that the politics are at play. And what better way to show that the politics aren't at play by laying down quick, by getting destroyed, and setting up. We've set Goldberg up as a dominant force, so that when he finally gives the title back to someone, when he loses the title to whoever that may be, whenever that may be,
Correct.
it's going to be viewed as a big thing. And I think the other thing is, it really plays to. I love the saying of Paul Heyman's booking approach: accentuate the strengths and hide the weaknesses. A short
Absolutely.
3-minute match hides Goldberg's weaknesses.
Yep.
And you want him to win, you want him to look strong. This is the way to do it. When you get round to taking the title off him, you can do a longer drawn out match where the commentators can play into it. Goldberg's not used to going long. The longer the match goes, the better it plays up for his opponent. That's what you can do down the track. Here, I think it stuns everyone, because I think everyone would be expecting that Hunter's only just regained the title. Everyone's expecting the politics to come into play, and that Triple H is going to do what he can to keep that title, and he never gets any opportunity.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally. I think it looks perfect. Totally.
Yes. That's good.
All right. Good. Now,
So that's
up,
one title match.
Yep. Now, let's talk about our other title, the WWE Championship, which is currently held by Brock Lesnar. You and I are about to do something I'm not going to say is unpopular, but we don't want to hurt the TV show, but we can come up with something else down the line. So Kurt Angle, who lost, of course, the WWE title to Brock Lesnar back in Seattle at WrestleMania, never got his rematch. He got hurt. He's back. He won his big tag match against his former proteges at Vengeance. He comes out the SmackDown that Thursday after and says, Kurt, it's time for my shot. And Kurt, staying a babyface, goes, yeah. Yep. I've been waiting for you. But let's make this special. Let's make this special. You consider yourself a wrestling machine, right, Kurt? Well, I consider myself a pretty good wrestler myself. So let's prove it. At SummerSlam, you and I will put up my title in an Iron Man match. Yes, folks, here in the alternate universe, we're moving the Iron Man match from the September 18th SmackDown to SummerSlam. We're doing it, Dave.
Yeah.
For us, what do you think the benefits of that are?
Look, the benefit is you have two guys who have amazing in-ring ability, can put on an amazing match, are going to be entertaining. You're going to have a real emphasis on what they can do in ring. That's the benefit, and you allow the storyline to. I think it opens a lot of opportunities for a storyline to be developed here that I think can be played out in the following weeks or after SummerSlam.
Right. Yep.
So, because I think at SummerSlam here, I think Kurt gets it. It's not revenge because it's not a blood feud, but Kurt gets his win back. I think Kurt wins the title in the Iron Man match. But I think you can do things through this match that start to hint that maybe Brock is getting frustrated at Kurt. So, maybe Brock gets a couple of victories and then Kurt pulls them back. And every time Brock thinks he can get ahead, he can't. And so Brock starts to get frustrated as the match. And Brock, the one thing, and it could even play out in this match, Brock starts to turn heel, because I love in the SmackDown match that occurred,
yep,
you get the moment where Brock gets himself disqualified to get the quick pin following it. I think I love that. And that could be almost the moment that you turn Brock heel in the match. They
I like
start out,
that.
they start
like
out
that.
competitive. They start out, a couple of, trade a couple of pins each, but it's still pretty even. Brock's getting frustrated. Then Brock clocks him with the chair, does essentially the heel turn mid-match, gets disqualified. Then he gets a couple of pins over Kurt while Kurt's basically out, and everyone's worried about his neck. And you can then play it from there that Brock is trying to make the comeback. Kurt's trying to make the comeback. Brock really now just plays into doing whatever it takes. He's working the neck. You can see that he's using the heel tactics now, and he's playing into it. But Kurt ends up overcoming it and ends up with only a couple of seconds left, getting the final pin to win the match and win the title.
Yep. Incidentally, Triple H and Rock used that same spot 3 years earlier at the Iron Man at Judgment Day 2000. The whole got DQ'd with a chair shot, and Triple H went, all right, I'll just pin him now. That was more of an accident. The way we'll do it here is Brock totally sacrificed a pin or sacrificed a point in the score just to A, get a pin, get the decision back, and B, beat Kurt down to work him over some more. So I agree 100%.
And I think the final one, because we're essentially turning Brock heel in the match, I think the final decision is Kurt with the ankle lock, and Brock actually taps out. Like, no one expects it. Like, everyone's expecting Brock's reaching for the ropes, and he's all through the match. You could have Kurt trying for the ankle lock, and Brock consistently finds a way to either counter it, get to the ropes, reverse it, do something that means he's never really pushed for it. And the scores could be tied, with the announcers highlighting the fact that if it's a draw at the end of the time, Brock will retain the title. And Kurt gets the ankle lock, and Brock goes for the ropes, and Kurt drags him to the middle, finally just locks it. I like when he does the body scissor, just locks the body around, and Brock with 2 seconds left, Brock taps out, because I think you can do a tap out in that way. He can wait till the very last second, but he taps right before the bell goes.
Yep.
So that post SummerSlam, you've also got the story of Brock tapped out. He's turned heel, but he's also tapped out.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah. So simply we're moving the September 18th SmackDown Iron Man to SummerSlam, and we're kind of tweaking it a little bit, because by then in the Prime universe, Brock had already turned heel. He turned heel in August. So we're just doing it here, and I think it'll look great. Which match do you do last?
I think by having Goldberg beating Triple H as quick as we have it, you set it up that you can have Brock and Kurt go last and go for a long period of time. I think if you do an Iron Man match before Goldberg Hunter, you run the risk of
cooking the crowd.
Cooking the crowd, but also flagging the outcome, because if you're only giving, you only got a few minutes left on pay-per-view, you're going to go, this is only going to be a short match. What's happening?
Whereas, gotcha. Good call.
By doing the short match first, you could argue you'd never have to announce the time limit for the pay-per-view. You just say it is an Iron Man match. Person who gets the most wins in the time wins. Before the pay-per-view, you never announce how long you're going to do it for. Maybe it's going to be 30 minutes. Maybe it's going to be 45. But because you have the short pin, you can do a 60-minute match and get away with it.
Yeah, I agree. I love that, Dave. That's awesome.
or even here's a bit of fun. Maybe it's announced prior to SummerSlam that it's going to be a 30-minute Iron Man match. But when Goldberg beats Triple H so quick, we go backstage and Stephanie announces, you can even see Stephanie with bringing the two into the ring, like talking to them just before they go out. We're going to go an hour. And they're like, yeah, the longer the better. So you've got this idea of they're even agreeing that they're going to extend the time limit because that first world title match ended so quickly.
Yeah. Perfect. Yep. I like the fact
maybe
that we have that.
And maybe that plays into Brock's frustration a little bit. Like, what? Or you've changed the time limit on me. Why? And Kurt's like, I don't care. Let's just go. And that's another element that leads to the heel turn mid-match. Is Brock is he's annoyed that they've changed the length of the match. He's then annoyed at how even the match is, and he can't get on top, and he has to cheat to get on top, and that leads to the heel turn.
Almost kind of like Brett at WrestleMania 12. Like,
why are we going to overtime?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
It ends in a tie. I win. It ends in a draw. We had a great 60-minute match. Sean, nice try, but I'm the champ. And Gorilla goes, no, we're Piper said in your house 6, there must be a winner. And Brett's like, fuck this. Same thing. Brock's like, why are we messing this? Why are we messing around with this? I like that idea.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So we're 3 matches in, 5 more to go. Let's.
All right. Well, there's a couple of matches that there's a couple of matches I think we've been building to that have got to be on this card.
Okay.
So we've done a massive story. We've had 2 guys on. Let's look at our Raw brand. We've had 2 guys that we've done a lot of work with through the year. We had Rob Van Dam win the title at WrestleMania, ended up losing it back to Triple H. But we also, in the process, we'd had Booker T, who'd been in this little bit of a losing storyline, and we had him turn his back on Goldust in a tag title match to turn heel, and then immediately cost Rob Van Dam the world title because we had the storyline that Rob had to give Triple H the rematch, but Booker wanted the shot. And so Booker felt that Rob Van Dam had snubbed him. And so that led to the fact that they'd had their storyline started to develop. And then last event at the Raw only, Booker had beaten Shawn Michaels while Triple H actually regained the title from Rob Van Dam in the Hell in the Cell. So we've been building this Rob Van Dam Booker T match. That's got to happen at SummerSlam because that's been a long-term story we've been building since WrestleMania. And I think you've got to have these 2 meet for their one-on-one match here at SummerSlam.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So mid-match, I think this is going to be a match that we could build the heck out of over I guess a couple of months, because obviously July was SmackDown's month. So,
and we've been building it before then because we've been building it since Judgment Day, really, which is when Booker sort of interfered in the match, and he interfered. He cost Rob Van Dam the title, and then they had their rematch at Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood with Triple H retaining and Booker T getting involved again. So we've been building this since back at like Backlash, this long-term build. So it's a big build. They've had a couple of months since Rob Van Dam is no longer involved with Hunter to just solely focus on these 2. You could have a couple of tag matches. You could have them interfering in each other's matches, interviews. I mean, this is just the perfect build.
Yep. And I think it's a great match. And
I'm going to go out on the limb here and say, because Goldberg is winning the title, I think Booker needs to win this match.
I agree. I agree. It's time for RVD. I know I hate to say this, and everyone's going to be like, ugh. RVD needs to pay a little bit back for the first half of the year. And we can, an RVD, it's RVD. I mean, RVD never loses any juice. So it's not that big a deal.
I think you could do the old visual pin in this. You could have the referee, you could have a ref bump. This could be the match you do the ref bump in, and RVD gets the frog splash and a visual pin on Booker, but the ref's out. Revive the ref. I think Booker T wins clean. I think we've been building this idea of Booker being angry and Booker wanting to prove himself. I think he needs. You don't agree?
Based on what we have at later on in the night, I have something else.
Okay.
I think Randy Orton and Ric Flair come down, and as a thank you for the business transaction of helping Triple H win back his World Heavyweight title, we'll pay it forward.
Okay.
And they help our, because remember, I understand your point about Booker needing to, but I think we could work on that. Maybe even at Unforgiven, depends on what we do at Unforgiven.
That opens up the door then for Rob Van Dam and Randy Orton to face each other at Unforgiven. Because Van Dam's gonna want some revenge on Evolution, is what you're basically saying.
Yeah. It was a business arrangement between Booker T and Evolution. Booker helped Triple H win the world title at Bad Blood. And then the best part is we don't even remember it because it was 2 months earlier. And then out comes Triple H and Orton, or Orton and Flair, and they help Booker
beat RVD.
Take out RVD again. So RVD gets screwed twice by this crew.
No, so maybe you've got RVD gets the visual pin. Maybe there is the ref bump. RVD gets the visual pin after the frog splash with no ref. And then Orton and Flair come down and Orton drops RVD with the RKO.
With an RKO. Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
And then Booker could pick him up and hit the bookend or the scissors kick or however you want him to finish it off. He can then finish it off again. But the interference from Orton and Flair really has sort of nailed it.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I like that because it sets up a moving forward for Rob Van Dam. It sets him up wanting to keep dealing with Evolution.
Right.
So that works.
Okay,
all right.
Good.
So that's one match. Now another match that I think we've set up that we are going to have to blow off or deal with is the match we were talking about at Vengeance, and that is our little Kevin Nash Big Show storyline.
Yes.
Because Kevin Nash, SummerSlam is his last appearance with the company for a while, because he is going off to make movies. He's going off to film a movie with Adam Sandler. Because this is when they film what's it? The in the prison with the football game.
Longest Yard.
This is when they went off to field Longest Yard.
Correct. Yep.
So and in the real universe, in the build up to SummerSlam, because Nash was in the chamber. He was in the Elimination Chamber. They'd had a build up match, and Chris Jericho actually beat Nash and cut his hair. I think what you could do here is Nash versus Big Show in a hair versus hair match. Loser going to get a haircut. Big Show's already got the short hair. And we know eventually Big Show is balding and could have his head shaved.
Right.
No one would expect Nash to lose while he's got the long locks. I think Big Show beats Nash, cuts his hair, and sends Nash out the door to go make a movie.
Yeah. Okay. That works. Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's actually been I think we've built this feud pretty good. Two big dudes. Yeah. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot.
And again, Nash, depending on where you want to put it on the card, we can move it later. Big Show doesn't have to win clean. He can cheat to win because he's a heel. It keeps him strong and it opens the doors for you to use Big Show on the SmackDown brand moving forward, whether it's a title shot against Kurt, whether it's a match against Undertaker. You've got by having him beat Nash in this big event, Big Show is set up to do something moving forward.
Right. Interesting.
All right. So
what do you think?
Okay, so I'm just having a look at what we've got. We've got 3 matches from SmackDown and 2 matches from Raw. So I'm thinking we need another SmackDown match, and I like the idea of playing into the storyline we've started to develop with the Guerreros, and we've just put the US title on Eddie. I think you're doing the situation here where Eddie ends up signing to be involved in like a multi-way, like a 4-way or a 3-way US title match, and Chavo doesn't get to wrestle at SummerSlam because of it. So you start to play into that storyline of Eddie having had to choose what match is he going to do, and he chooses to defend the US title at SummerSlam. And this is a match where you could have Benoit in this one. You could really stack this match. You could have Eddie in it. You could have Benoit in it. You could have John Cena in it, because we've just done a big thing with John Cena. So you could really put all 3 of them in there, or the alternative with Cena might be to put Cena against the Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this becomes a 9-match card, and you have an extra SmackDown match.
Well, at SummerSlam, I think a 9th match is not. Considering that our one of our title matches is barely 3 minutes, I think we can fit a 9th match in here. So
we do have an Iron Man match, so we've got to remember that too.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
Because I like the idea of Undertaker John Cena. I really do like that idea.
I think
the way we've built Cena. And the fact that Undertaker he was on the last show, but he didn't do much. He got a win over Nathan Jones.
Right.
I think this is an opportunity to do something with Undertaker, and an opportunity. Look, there's no reason why we can't. Well, you've also got pre-show. You could always, was Sunday Night Heat still going at this point, or?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you could put a 9th match. You could have a 9-match event, but you just put a match on the
Heat card,
on the pre-card, on the pre-show.
Sure. Oh boy, now Dave, they're going to tell us, wow, even in the alternate universe, you're kicking guys off the show.
Well, let's see where we end up, because I like the idea. Look, we haven't done a lot with Undertaker, but we've really started to push Cena up the card, and we've had Cena lose to Brock. So here's Undertaker after Vengeance, sort of like, here I am. I'm the man. I reckon I'm the best out here, but you've just announced that Brock and Kurt are going to have an Iron Man match for the title. So Undertaker's no longer going to get he's not getting a title shot at this point. And I think you could have John Cena, or maybe John Cena takes exception to Brock issuing the challenge to Kurt. Cena's like, this was me. I should be in this spot. Yes, you beat me, Brock, but I should get another chance. And the Undertaker comes out, and The Undertaker goes, "Who do you think you are? You haven't been here that long. This is my yard. This is my, whether it's I don't know if we're in the my yard world yet. are we still Biker Taker at this point? We are, aren't we?
Yeah, Biker Taker
Yeah.
lasts until we'll get to the end of Biker Taker probably on next month's show. On our show, this show, next month.
Yeah. So Biker Taker, this is my yard. This is my world. You are nothing. And Cena can start laying the smack talk on Undertaker, and I think you could build up to Undertaker versus John Cena. And I think Cena could get the win over Undertaker here. Build up to a rematch at Unforgiven. Possibly.
Wait, you said Taker Cena?
Taker versus Cena at SummerSlam. You could build to a rematch at Unforgiven. Not Unforgiven, at No Mercy, later in the year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Okay. That's why I got confused for a minute. Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
No, I like that idea. Sure. Yeah. Yep.
And Cena wins by cheating. It's got to be blatant. Cena's not, again, he's not big enough to
He'll smoke him with his chain. He'll hit him with his chain around his neck or whatever, his bling.
Yeah, goes out of the ring. Yeah, multiple times. He's doing all sorts of things. He's constantly cheating, rolling out of the ring to get away from Taker. But it's very much that, he cheats to win. Because we've had him beat Hogan by cheating. We've then had him lose to Brock. I think this keeps Cena's momentum going.
Yeah. He's hot right now, Cena. We got him in a good spot. Yes, he lost to Brock at Vengeance, but we made that a good match. And it's SummerSlam. Taker doesn't have a SummerSlam streak. So let's give Cena the cheap win. And we've got a big show in October in where the fuck was it? No Mercy. I think it was Baltimore.
It was. Yeah,
it was Baltimore. And we can go from there. We'll get more into that in our final part next month. So, all right. So Taker Cena. Cena wins with a bling to the skull, and we get it done. So there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
We definitely need some more Raw appearances here, because we really have got a bit of a SmackDown domination here. So I think a couple of things we can look at. Obviously, we can't get everyone on the SummerSlam card. It's just, unfortunately, because it's a joint card, we can't get everyone. So
and an hour of the show is one match.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help either. So
no. So now look, Big Show and Kevin Nash isn't going to be a very long match.
Nope. And obviously Goldberg and Triple H is not a long match. So
we've got two shorter matches there, but there's other matches that we want to give a little bit of time to. So I'm looking at what we've got. We've got on our Raw roster, we haven't used our Intercontinental title. We haven't used our tag titles. Do we want some representation? And we haven't got the US title on the show yet. I acknowledge that, but we've sort of focused on some other matches at the moment. And we want the US title. That could end up being pre-show. But do we want a tag title match? Do we want an Intercontinental title match? Should we be looking at trying to get Jericho on the show? Because Jericho has been a big part of our booking to date. Shawn Michaels isn't on the show. I think there's a couple of guys there that really, you would expect to have some sort of appearance at SummerSlam.
I got an idea.
Yep.
You're going to think this is wonky. What about unprecedented? He hasn't gone for this title since 1995. Why not have Christian defend the Intercontinental title against Shawn Michaels?
Oh, I like that.
Christian bitches and moans. Nobody I don't get any respect. I'm the Intercontinental Champion. I'm the number 2 guy on Raw. I'm not better than RVD, better than he starts firing off faces. And then Shawn comes down and says, well, 8 years ago, on this very show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Razor Ramon and I tore the house down for the Intercontinental title. You want to be a star? You want to be famous, Christian? You don't do it by sitting here bitching. Listen, I'm me. I got nothing going on. Why don't you put your money where your mouth is? You want to be a star? You want to have a notch on your belt? Try to make me the notch on your belt. Put your Intercontinental title on the line against arguably one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time. Come on, tough guy.
Like it.
You know? And then Sean just super kicks him. But Christian wins. Maybe he doesn't win. Maybe he doesn't win. We can't have him cheat either because we have too much cheating on so far.
I've got one for you. He doesn't. Okay. No, we don't need. He doesn't need to cheat. What if he walks away? What if he does the honky tonk man? I'm bailing. I'm out of here. I'm grabbing my title and I'm leaving. And Sean wins by count out, but Christian keeps the belt.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's a kind of a poop ending, but I mean we need something to make Christian look like a sleazebag. But these guys go on a nice. They have a nice 15, 16 minute affair. Christian proves his mettle, but Sean's about to super kick him, and he rolls out of the ring and goes, you know what? Fuck this. I'm out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, ref. Just count me. I don't care. I don't give a crap. And Sean sits there and goes, are you serious, dude? And then the next night on Raw, we can build it to Unforgiven, where Sean's like, dude, I tried to make you a star, and you're nothing but a, We'll go from there. We'll talk about that when we get to the next show. But all right, I like that. So yeah, they go for between 13 and 16 minutes, and Sean's about to strike up the band, and Christian's like, nah, I'm done. I'm good. Yay, I don't care. Call me what you want. Taking my belt. I'm leaving. Bye. Take your super kick and stick it in your ass. And Sean's like, ugh. So he gets the win by a count out. And then we'll move along with the next match in a minute. So,
and I think that makes sense because Christian, I don't think you can have Christian beat Sean. You can't have him beat Sean clean. Sean's Sean. You can't have him beat Sean clean. We've already got a couple of interference style matches happening, so we really don't want another of those. I think, just sort of doing the walk. It allows, Sean doesn't have to lose the match. Christian's not ready to beat Sean, but it lets you keep the title on Christian.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it sets up and I've got an idea for the rematch. So it sets up a rematch at Unforgiven. So I think it's a great idea because I think it sets up a really good opportunity for the next event. So I like it. I like it very much.
Okay.
So there's one Raw match. So let me ask. We were doing a game. There's still a lot of people not on this show, and some of the guys might appear in segments. That you'd probably do an interview with. You'd probably do an interview with Jericho at some point. You probably have a conversation, but there's two. If you're looking at another Raw match, because we've still only got 3 at the moment.
Well, I have one immediately.
Okay.
We need a women's title match.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. We were building the women. We've been doing a lot of work of building the women's division as a visible option.
Now, at Bad Blood, we had the Trish and Nydia for the women's title, and that was clean. And Trish won that clean, so that feud's over. So at some point between Bad Blood and SummerSlam, we need to build a Trish opponent. Now, in the Prime universe, Molly Holly won the women's title at the end of July, and she kept it all the way to February. So here in our universe, I would like to see Molly Holly get a women's title shot.
Okay. All right. So, and I think we had Molly beat Victoria at Bad Blood anyway. So we sort of set Molly up. I think we sort of said that was going to be a number one contenders match.
Correct.
So
right.
I think we've sort of set ourselves up that Trish versus Molly for the women's title is where we're going. So I think that's that's a match that we need to do because we've already done the build for it.
I've got an idea.
Yep.
Now, in the Prime universe, Dave, Jericho slowly started turning face because he had a thing for Trish.
Yep.
If you'd like to entertain this creative opportunity in our universe, what if Jericho is the referee?
Oh, I love it. I love it. It gets Jericho on the card and it starts, and it could be, maybe he feels really bad that Trish's lot, like he's still heel Jericho at the moment, but perhaps however the match goes down in following SummerSlam, he actually feels really bad for Trish. Like it's sort of, maybe he accidentally led to, it looks like, I don't know how to word it, but because Molly's the heel, Jericho's a heel, and Trish is our baby face. But if we're going to start a build for Jericho to be a baby face, Trish could be mad at Jericho for having cost her the title, and Jericho feels bad about that and then starts trying to make it up to her moving forward.
Right.
And that's how you start that process.
Yep. Yeah. I'm liking this card, Dave. This is actually a pretty damn good show. It's a damn good show. So I think what we've got there is I think we need to leave that as the show. Again, that Trish Molly match doesn't need to be long. No, it won't be long. It'll be like 6 or 7 minutes. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, because we got to leave time for the main event. But on the pre-show, on Heat, that's when you could do that US, the match I was talking about. You could talk about the fact that Eddie has to make a choice. It's either the tag title match or the US multi-man match, and we get the US multi-man match. Oh, maybe we don't. Maybe we get the tag match here. Maybe he chooses Chavo here as a pre-match, and the Guerreros, because I'm just thinking, I don't really know if I want Benoit and Eddie and a bunch of guys in a multi-man match on the pre-show when you could have Eddie and Chavo against like the Bashams or the FBI again or something like that, or the APA. So I think pre-show, I think it's maybe it's a tag title match. The Guerreros, in the lead up, they get told, at the SummerSlam event on the, and it doesn't get announced pre-show until like a couple of days before, but Eddie, you either have a tag title match or you have a US title match, and Eddie goes, no, I'll defend the title with Chavo.
Yep.
Maybe against the Bashams. And then
Stephanie tells Eddie, well, then Eddie, this coming Thursday on SmackDown, you have to defend the US title. Yeah. And now it starts getting to him like, oh Jesus, I got to do all this stuff and everything. So yeah. Yep. And then I think at No Mercy, we're not booking No Mercy today, but at No Mercy, Eddie has to be in 2 matches. That's where he's got 2 matches on the same night. Yep. I agree. Yep. Perfect. Good thinking, Dave. We'll obviously broach that subject. Obviously next
episode
month when we get episode when we get to. All right. So
there's our SummerSlam card.
What a card! I think it's a great card. So on Heat, it'll be the Guerreros against the Bashams for the WWE tag titles, the blue belts, and they win it. And the Guerreros retain. Then on the main card, Rey Mysterio defends the Cruiserweight Championship against Jamie Noble, and Rey wins. He retains. Trish Stratus against Molly Holly for the women's match. Special ref Chris Jericho. Jericho kind of screws up because he's not really an experienced ref, and Molly wins the women's championship. The Big Show versus Kevin Nash in a hair versus hair match. The Big Show wins because Kevin Nash is going to go play football against the guards with Paul Crew. Paul Crew is Adam Sandler's character. Booker T against Rob Van Dam. Booker wins when Evolution returns the favor for Bad Blood. Not Bad Blood. Judgment Day and Bad Blood, because Booker T interfered in both.
Yes.
So that happens there. Christian defends the Intercontinental title at against Shawn Michaels, and Christian wins by countout because he's about to eat a super kick, and he says, "I'm done," and he walks off. Undertaker takes on John Cena in a career-building match. Cena wins by slacking Taker in the head with his bling. Goldberg helps get back at all the baby faces, or helps the baby faces get redemption for Evolution's reign of terror by beating Triple H in like 3 minutes after he beats the tar out of Flair and Orton, cleans out Evolution, sans, of course, Batista because he's hurt, and becomes World Heavyweight Champion. And then finally, an epic 60-man Iron Man match where Brock Lesnar retains the WWE title against Kurt Angle. Good card. I like that. Good card, because we got a lot now building for the next two show specifics. So SmackDown we put on the shelf for the night. We're good with SmackDown. We will get back to SmackDown on our next episode, because the first pay-per-view next month's show will be No Mercy in Baltimore. So, okay. All right. So we leave Phoenix, and Dave, we go to the land of chocolate on September 21st. Unforgiven takes place at the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Okay. Let's hop right into it.
I think some of our matches have already been. I think the flow out of SummerSlam has resulted in some matches that I think are a given. Okay,
yes.
And I think one of those matches. So let's go back to our Intercontinental title situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Christian walks out, and Sean's not happy about it, but there's nothing he can do. And so perhaps the next night on Raw, Christian sort of plays up. I went into a title match with Shawn Michaels, and I kept my title. Doesn't say I won, but it just highlights the fact that I retained my title.
Correct.
And Sean
Selective.
can come out. Yeah, Sean obviously comes out, and this is not necessarily starting the show, but this is during the night. Sean obviously highlights the fact that you walked away. You chickened out. Like, come on, give me a rematch. And maybe Jericho balks at a rematch. And so, maybe they do it. We get a tag match for the first week or whatever. But I think where you go in the build up is eventually a rematch is granted, but we need a match where Christian could win without Sean having to take a pinfall. What if Christian and Sean at Unforgiven, their rematch is a ladder match?
Done. I had it. I willed the words out of your mouth, Dave, because you hit it exactly as I was thinking. Sean looks at Christian and goes, "Well, you're good on ladders. I'm good on ladders. You don't have to pin me, but you can't just walk out because your belt's up there."
I think, you could play into the fact that Christian sort of says, I held the title. I'm still holding the title. And Sean goes, well, why don't we do a match where the person who's holding the title is the winner?
Yep.
What if we put the belt, hang the belt above the ring, and we have a ladder match?
Yep.
And that way, if you get your hands on that title, you can keep it. You don't have to pin me. You can keep it.
Yep. And the difference between you and I, Christian, is Edge isn't here to help you win.
I love it.
Edge isn't here to do. Oh, that'd be great. The only difference in you and I is Edge isn't here to do the work for you. Oh, that'd be beautiful. I've won all my ladder matches on my own. He can needle them.
I'm just thinking, you know what you could do in the build. I don't know if this would be too much on Raw, but playing into that idea, you haven't got Edge. What if one of the weeks in the lead up, Christian challenges one of the Dudley boys to a ladder match to sort of play into that storyline?
Oh yeah. I like that. That's great. What are you talking about? Why do I want to wrestle one of you? And
because yeah,
I gotta beat one of you by my. We've had wars throughout the years, epic wars this decade, but I don't have Edge. I don't know. Put a bag of lunch. Put a roast beef. Like do some stupid joke. Put a ham and cheese sandwich or something stupid.
Yeah, no, it could be a title match. It might even be you don't even like have the storyline like I've got to challenge one of them, but just the announcers state that they've received a note from Christian that next week on Raw he's going to defend the Intercontinental title in a ladder match, but it won't be against Shawn, but he's not telling us who the opponent is yet. And so then you get to the next week,
right?
And it's announced that he struck a deal with Bischoff. He cut a deal with Eric Bischoff, and Bischoff agreed to put. So you could do what you could do on Raw. So you have this. We got this storyline. Shawn challenges him to the ladder match. Then later on in the show, Christian could be bitching to Eric Bischoff, or maybe it's the next week. He's bitching to Eric Bischoff. I don't want a ladder match against Shawn Michaels. Blah 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 blah. And Eric can go, what you've been in ladder matches. You know how to you've beaten guys on this roster in ladder matches. And then Christian goes, oh, I've got an idea. And the camera pans away. We never hear the idea. Then later in the show, and a thing is handed to JR and King, and note is handed to them that, we've just received word that Eric Bischoff has booked an Intercontinental title ladder match next week on Raw. Oh my goodness, this is going to be huge. How amazing, how awesome. He hasn't told us who the opponent is. Oh, well, we'll find out next week. Next week on Raw, it could even kick off. It could be the ladder could be in the ring. Could be the first match of the night.
Right.
And Christian comes out, and then the fireworks go off, and I always thought Bubba Ray was the better singles worker than Devon, but either one, it doesn't matter which one.
Right.
Bubba can come out for the match with Devon, and they have a pretty good match. But then because we've got other storylines building, maybe Bubba takes Christian down. Maybe Devon comes in and they hit Christian with a 3D, and Bubba goes to climb the ladder, and La Resistance come out, and they just take down the Dudleys and throw them to the outside and beat them up, and Christian climbs the ladder and retains his IC title on Raw. And then and then Shawn can come down and they can fight, and you keep that build going, and you've also got your underlying build, the other match, which is the tag title match we need, which would be La Resistance against the Dudley boys in their in their title match, because we've had them. La Resistance beat the Dudleys by DQ at Bad Blood, and we haven't seen that on pay-per-view. I think that would be our tag title match, would be the Dudleys versus La Resistance for the tag titles.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, because we haven't done much in the way of the Raw tag titles in the past few pay-per-view matches, pay-per-view shows. So we definitely need to have a Raw World Tag Title match. So
and that match you could actually have, because of this beat down, like they do this beat down in the ladder match, maybe Bubba Ray gets like pretty heavily. He's either bleeding or he's hurt in some way, so that over the next couple of weeks or in the build up to Unforgiven, Bubba Ray is clearly hurt, and La Resistance each week just keep attacking the injury, so that going into Unforgiven, the Dudleys are hurt, and they're struggling, and La Resistance win the match and win the titles, but the Dudleys had that pre-existing injury going into the match because of the ladder match with Christian.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I like that idea. And that's where La Resistance wins. We had them in the Prime world. They beat RVD and Kane at Bad Blood, but in our world, RVD and Kane never tag teamed. So,
No.
So Christian retains the IC belt. La Resistance wins the tag belts. All right. We have established that Booker is going to get his title shot.
We've established that Booker would see himself as the number one contender, and I think he would come out after that first Raw. Basically, he's come out going, "The shot's mine. I beat RVD. I deserve a title match." And Goldberg just straight out, "Yep, I'll defend against you at Unforgiven. No qualms about it." But I think we've highlighted the fact that I think we need to get someone else in that world title picture outside of Triple H. He's been around long enough.
Yes. Maybe Triple H takes this month off to, out of embarrassment.
Yeah.
Maybe Evolution kind of, disappears for a little bit because they're humiliated that Goldberg just chewed them up and spit them out at SummerSlam.
All of Evolution. I think we need Flair and Orton, but I think Hunter could. And maybe Hunter was dealing with a groin injury, and maybe he needs to take a couple of weeks off to let it recover.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
That's why he lost the match so quickly. He because of the injury. So, so there's no Hunter this one. Booker is getting the world title match against Goldberg. And that's the main event of Unforgiven. Booker T versus challenging Goldberg for the title. This match can go a bit longer. I think this is a sort of match where Booker can work it a little bit. He's turned heel. Let him really play into the heel side of it. But I think Goldberg would still need to get the victory at the end.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, obviously Goldberg needs to keep it because we got stuff on the pike. So
and I think he would win clean too.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we're not seeing Raw on pay-per-view until Survivor Series, and we don't know what we're going to do at Survivor Series yet. So I think Goldberg wins clean.
Right. Yeah, no, he does. He does. As a babyface, he needs to win clean. Yep, I agree. Yeah. Obviously, we will have, speaking of RVD and Evolution, I just realized why am I that was a dumb thing to say. I just realized we need Flair and Orton. I'm just an idiot. So Orton and RVD, because RVD wants his pound of flesh on Orton for what happened at SummerSlam. So so we have our Orton and RVD, and that match will be dominant. That match will be amazing. Obviously, they wrestled in the Prime universe. They wrestled each other at Armageddon for the IC belt. Obviously, we'll probably have another plan for Armageddon. We'll get there. Any particular? I don't think we really need a gimmick or anything. I think that's just going to be a great match.
I think this is just one-on-one. I think this just has to go one-on-one. And look, I think as it's an interesting scenario we're painting ourselves, because we've got Orton as the young up and coming guy, part of Evolution, and he's sort of injected himself into this thing with RVD, but RVD's had a couple of losses now on pay-per-view in a row. And I think RVD needs to get the win over Orton. It's not about burying Orton, but I think, we can't we elevated RVD to a main event status. I don't think we can just push him straight back down the card and have him lose every other week. I think RVD can get a win over Orton here, but I think it can be a real competitive match, and Orton looks really good in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely.
And maybe it sets up. They can always face off again later. Like Orton can always get a win again on TV or at, who knows where we're going. So we got Survivor Series, Armageddon. Who knows what's going to happen down the track? Orton can always get a win over RVD at a later time. But I think for this event, it needs to be an RVD victory.
Yes, I agree. All right, so we have that match down. So we've got 4 matches so far. We need
another match. I want to play off because we're talking about Evolution. We've talked about Orton. I want to talk about Flair because we had a developing storyline that we were playing through right through to Bad Blood, right through sort of Judgment Day into Bad Blood. The lead up to Bad Blood, we didn't has been, and what happened at Bad Blood, we had the idea of Goldust had been going through this crisis of confidence. And we'd done the story, like they lost the tag titles. Flair, we'd done the Triple H Ric Flair night. We still ran the Triple H Ric Flair night. And Flair sort of did a couple of weeks as a good guy, but then at Bad Blood, he showed his true feelings and helped Randy Orton beat Goldust. He came to the ring with Goldust, but helped Randy Orton win the match. And so Goldust has been in this crisis of confidence. And this would all be happening on Raw over a period of time. But I think what you could do with Goldust, and this is where we're playing into opportunities we have to do some things differently. You could play in this idea of Goldust just feeling really, the confidence is gone, and maybe he goes away for a couple of weeks of TV, and you have some backstage vignettes of Goldust just questioning who he is and not being able to remember, he's not winning anymore. And perhaps it's someone like Sean getting alongside him and saying, what do you mean you don't know who you are? You're Goldust, but more that you're a member of one of the most famous wrestling families on the planet. Your dad was Dusty Rhodes.
Yep.
You should remember that. And so over a couple of weeks, Goldust starts to maybe you get you do a vignette where he goes on a he goes home. He goes on a pilgrimage to something WCW-esque. He goes and remembers the old days growing up. A couple of vignettes, and then maybe he goes and visits with Dad. Maybe you bring Dusty in for a night where he visits with Dad, or like he goes home and he's sitting with Dad around the dinner table with all his Goldust paint on, but he's sitting with Dad at the dinner table, and Dusty's saying, I've always believed in you, boy. I've always believed, no matter what you're wearing, no matter who you're wrestling, I believe that you're one of the best in the world. You're better than I ever could be. You play this idea that Dusty's doing that. And maybe Dusty even comes to a night of Raw and is encouraging his son. And Goldust makes the decision to shed the paint and go back to being Dustin. And we get the reintroduction of Dustin Rhodes and Flair. And all this time, there's interactions with Flair. Flair, when Dusty comes back, Flair is sort of like, they could have a backstage thing where they're talking about who was better. And Flair could say, I beat you, I beat your boy, I'm all that thing. And so you build to an idea that Ric Flair at Unforgiven ends up in a match not with Goldust, but with Dustin Rhodes. And Dustin is reclaiming who he is to reclaim his career.
Right.
And
he could come out to the natural theme. They call me the natural. That'd be great. Yep. Now, in our universe, because in the Prime universe, Dave, this wouldn't work because Dusty was in TNA. Unfortunately. But in our universe, Dusty is allowed to be on WWE television. We'll just leave it at that.
I think that they, WWF, they had a conversation with Dusty and said, "Look, we want to bring you in. We want to do some stuff with Dustin." I think Dusty would go. He was probably only under a verbal agreement with TNA anyway. I'm not sure that they were paying him properly. And
exactly. I like to set that up, paying it properly.
It's not an ongoing story. We're not bringing Dusty in as a permanent thing, but
just for this
one
clip.
or two nights.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
1 or 2.
Yeah. No, I get it. Absolutely. Yep.
So Dusty doesn't come to the match with Dustin here. This is Dustin on his own because he's reclaiming who he is.
Right.
But we're going back to, and he's done it over the few weeks. So he's not Dustin for the first time here at Unforgiven, but he maybe has had some matches against lower card guys. Maybe he beat one of the members of La Resistance, and maybe he beat he might have beaten Test and Lance Storm, and he's beating guys that aren't high on the roster in a way of getting his confidence back. And Flair is constantly baiting him. He's constantly like, I beat you. I've beaten your family. I've always beaten your family. And Dustin's like, you and me, Unforgiven. I'm gonna prove to you that my family is greater than yours.
Right.
And so Dustin versus Rick, they finally come together at Unforgiven. It could be, you could go the whole hog. You could do it like Texas Death style. No disqualification. You could let them both bleed a little bit. And Dustin gets the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I like that. We need a little emotion. That's a good emotion storyline. I like that.
Good if you're playing into the family history, I mean, it could be what was it? Was Dusty's match was a Texas bull rope match, wasn't it?
Which one?
Wasn't one of Dusty's big matches when he
his
had
match
the
thing, the bull rope. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, that was one of his gimmicks. Yeah, totally.
Well, yep. What if that's the match? Dustin challenges Flair to a Texas bull rope match.
Works for me. That'll be fun. Yes.
All right.
Yes, love that. All right. So we need a
women's title match.
Yes. So we need Molly, the women's champion who won the title at SummerSlam. She needs an opponent.
Do we just go straight rematch with Trish? Because she lost the title because Jericho was the guest referee and something went wrong, and Jericho either accidentally hit her, knocked her down, quick counted her, did something that's cost her the match. So Molly hasn't won super clean. Do we just go a straight rematch?
We could do that.
Or do we look at bringing in someone new like Gail Kim? Because she was on the scene now.
How about, I got an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do Molly and Gail Kim. We'll keep her a babyface. And then how about we do a mixed tag? We need a heel. We need a good
a heel woman.
No, a heel guy. I have the heel woman. Oh, I know what we could do. How about
Is this where you're going to use? You want to use Jericho?
Yeah. How about a mixed tag, Trish and Jericho against Victoria and Stevie Richards?
But hang on, Trish is a babyface at the moment, isn't she?
Right.
He's been our babyface. So I think it needs to be the flip. I think Jericho and Trish need to be on opposite sides, but you can start to see Jericho having the conflict that he doesn't want to be in a match against Trish.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. So who does Trish have then? Because we can do Victoria and Jericho against.
Oh, let's have a look at our Raw roster. Who are guys that we haven't used? Who could be in a team with him? So, You've got they're heels. Lance Storm, William Regal are heels.
We lost Nash. Well, he moved over to SmackDown anyway.
We've got Kane. We haven't used Kane for a while.
And we still have him as a babyface in our world.
Yes, we do. So maybe Trish could enlist the help of Kane to face Victoria and Chris Jericho.
Deal. That'll work. And Jericho is like, I don't know if I want to do this. And Victoria's shouting at him, "You asked for this, asshole." You know? Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. That gives us 7 matches. I mean, I think that's. I don't know if we could squeeze an 8th off the roster.
So guys that we haven't got, some of the names that we haven't got on, and some people who started showing up around this time. So Rob Conway made his debut on the roster around this time period. He was linked with La Resistance, but we don't have that at the moment. We haven't got Test involved. We haven't got William Regal or Lance Storm. We haven't got Rodney Mack. We haven't got Val Venus. I mean, you could do a match like Val Venus versus Rob Conway, or Val Venus versus William Regal. You could. Was this when Regal was out sick?
No, Regal wasn't back. He was sick.
Okay. So maybe
Regal got sick in the spring.
You've got Lance Storm around. You've got Val Venus. You've got. I mean, look, Rob Conway debuted around this time. I don't know what to do with him. If we wanted to bring him on and use him, or if we want to not bring him yet because we don't just throw a guy on for the sake of it. We haven't got anything for him. I mean, this is where you could do like Val Venus versus Lance Storm and get a couple of guys in a match just to round out the card. Or we could just leave it at 7.
I'm okay leaving it at 7 because I feel like we've got a couple of long matches. I feel like Christian and Sean's going to be, 25. Goldberg Booker will be 13, 14, 15. Orton RVD could be close to 20. We got a couple of matches that'll have a good that are going to have some length to them. So 7 matches, I think, serves its purpose.
Yeah,
because we're gonna have a couple of matches that could add up to almost an hour. Well, maybe not that much, but 45 minutes.
So I would probably look at starting the night with Orton and RVD then, with what we've got. With the matches we've got, I think that'll get the crowd going. The crowd will just let RVD come out first and get the crowd going. And then I think you're probably looking at your the mixed tag match would be next. Get it out of the way. Then I think you could probably look at doing do you want to do the IC title match earlier on, or do you want to do the Dudleys and La Resistance for the tag titles?
I kind of feel we should have Christian and Sean in the middle.
Okay. So
that's a big match. It's going to pop the crowd hot.
All right. So what I think then is I would suggest we put Molly and Gail Kim as the semi-main, because you're going to so there's a couple of big matches here. I think what you want, I'm just trying to work out how to best. So here's where it is, because we've got a couple of big moments. The ladder match is going to be big, but Christian is retaining the title. So there's going to be that little downer moment for the crowd. I think the bull rope match is going to be emotional. I think that you could have that before the women's title and then have the main event after that. So I think maybe what you do is you put the tag title match. I think if you put Christian and Sean on third, and then the tag title match can be the a bit of a come down after that, and then you got the bull rope match between Dusty and Rick. So this is how I'd probably book the card. I'd probably have Orton and RVD start the night with RVD winning clean. Then we've got Trish and Kane versus Jericho and Victoria, and I think this is Trish and Kane would need to win because Jericho is now starting to have the battle in his conscience about what he did to Trish, and it conflicts him in the match and costs him the match. Like, it's not a, it just, the crisis of whatever, he sort of doesn't want to do something or gets distracted by Trish, and Kane can get a choke slam on him and pin him to win the match.
Yeah.
Then you have Christian and Sean in the ladder match. We've already said Christian is going to retain. That's going to be an absolute barnstormer, probably steal the show.
Yep.
Then you've got the La Resistance beating the Dudley Boys to win the tag titles. So there's the heel. We've got two heel going over twice in a row. Then we've got Dustin Rhodes reclaiming his confidence by beating Ric Flair in a Texas bull rope match. With lots of blood and lots of emotion, and Dustin gets the win there. Molly Holly retains the title against Gail Kim, and then Goldberg retains his world title against Booker T in the main event. How's that sound?
That's a great card. Obviously, it'll be highlighted by the Shawn. Well, the Dustin Flair thing's got the emotional aspect to it, and then the Christian Shawn ladder match is the one everyone's gonna really focus on, because that's like Christian's big moment. Like, it's almost like Shawn, the smart fans are like, well, Shawn is obviously giving his blessing to Christian being a superb singles guy, whether it be mid card, main event, whatever, but almost giving Shawn his blessing that he's a guy that can be counted on. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that works perfect. That's a great card. Orton RVD, Trish and Kane versus Jericho Victoria, Christian and Shawn in a ladder match for the IC belt. Dudley's La Resistance for the tag titles. Pretty much we're taking, in the Prime universe, their match at Bad Blood and moving it here. Dustin Rhodes, not Goldust, Dustin Rhodes against Ric Flair in a Texas bull rope match. Dustin gets the pin. Molly versus Gail Kim for the women's title. And in the main event, Goldberg defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Booker T, and Goldberg wins. Good card. Yeah. Raw's roster is weird. It seems a little thin, but I feel like we got a pretty good I feel like it's gotten to the point where I think it works out. We got some really good work rate matches. We're trying to expose that Raw does have workers on it, because that seemed like, at the time it felt like Raw was the character-driven show and SmackDown was the work rate-driven show, and we're trying to prove, no, there's some talent on this Raw roster that's not just smiles and candy, So though I think we did a good job of that. So, all right, well, there you go, folks. There is your third quarter of rebooked cards here in the alternate universe through the Looking Glass here in 2003. I won't read the cards again. We hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned, because next month in November, we will conclude our 4-part series with No Mercy, Survivor Series, and Armageddon. Great job, Dave. That was a blast.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was great. I think we think we seriously put 3 pretty damn good cards together. I think we really did.
Yeah.
We'll go over them next month. So, check out everything on the PTB Wrestling, on our whole networks of quads, the whole quad of pods, of course, as I say, the PTB Wrestling Network, the Place to Be Pop Experience, North-South Connection with, of course, the Jenny Position Within, and, of course, the Backbone Wrestling Network as well. So all the great, if you honestly, and another thing I want to promote as well from for us here on the PTB Wrestling Network, great job by Callum McDougall. We actually now have what is known as PTB Wrestling Radio. And what it is we have a running live stream on our YouTube channel that is all of our podcasts throughout history, just streaming endlessly randomly. So if you just want to listen to some classic podcasting in the background, you could put it on, and you can hear anything. A Place to Be podcast, Dangerous Alliance, Crock and Roll, special, it's anything that's gone all the way back into the mid 2010s, all the way through history is on the Place to Be Wrestling Radio stream. So check that out on our PTB Wrestling Network YouTube channel. Dave, always a pleasure. What do you got coming up? You guys are still cranking the Chronoso out. What do you got?
We've just dropped. We're in the middle of between Survivor Series 1990 in the build up to Royal Rumble 91. So we've just dropped a couple of episodes, or we've dropped one, and then another one's going to drop in the next week of a lot of the TV and house show matches that are going on between between Survivor Series 1990, Royal Rumble 1991. We're on the build up to that great 1991 Royal Rumble card. So I say great with little hesitation, but we're on that build, and we're looking at all the sorts of chaos and shenanigans that have been happening in there, and some very interesting booking decisions. So like I said, that one's dropped, and the other one will drop in probably a few days after this episode drops. So they're all coming out now as we build up to Royal Rumble 1991.
That is awesome. You guys are doing a great job. I love hearing it. So check out all the stuff on the Quadapods, everybody. We hope you enjoyed the show, and happy Halloween, as that's coming up towards the end of the month. And we will talk to you in November for the last chapter of 2003, Through the Looking Glass.